Greetings everyone, Joe Davis here. Welcome again to Southern New Hampshire University Justice 224. I wanted to give you just a very brief module overview for this particular module, and what we're going to do is actually use the website, the shell, the course shell, so that you can see actually where it is that I'm getting the information, where you can find it. So if we go to week 3 and we look at our objectives, we're going to justify the selection of legal research methods. We're going to identify the most effective legal research tool based on a particular problem. We're going to analyze a given set of facts in order to identify the legal issue, and we're going to determine the appropriate legal actions. So let's go to the overview very quickly here, because you can read all of this yourselves. I don't need to read it back to you. But in Module 2, we found that there are all kinds of sources out there, primary and secondary sources, that we can use to find out about what the facts of the case lead to, or help us understand the legal issue, and also to find the very specific laws. Module 3 will teach us the various specific methods of utilizing those facts in primary and secondary authorities. So okay, what's our first step in research? The first step is to identify exactly what sort of law that we're looking at. And so obviously we're in the criminal justice field, so we're going to be looking for criminal law events. And it's not that civil aren't important, but that's where we work. And so when you do that, you have to determine whether you're after you've determined, whether you're dealing with a criminal or a civil issue, then you can begin to make your research. And when you made that determination as the type of law, remember that crimes is a public wrong. Okay, so you're going to see different case citations like the ones that are listed here. Okay, finding the law using terms and words. And this is a search process where in the prior weeks, prior modules, we've talked about the value of a legal dictionary, and so that it will give you the definition. It won't give you the code or the law, but it will give you a definition. And I think one example would be homicide, where it's the unlawful taking, a human unlawful taking of another human's life. Okay, so to understand it better, you need to find the answers to these legal issues that you are facing. And in the next session, the next mini lecture here on YouTube, I'll go through this week's 3-2 assignment, which is a much more realistic, real-world example to help you build these skills. Okay, you can use indexes to search for your topic. That's where it talks about it. So maybe you go to the U.S. Code, California Penal Code, the New Hampshire Penal Code, whatever it is, and you can look. If you're unsure about these things, you can use the cartwheel method to try and come up with concepts and ideas and words and things like that to help guide you. And I'm taking just a second. I should have had it open. I apologize. So when we look at that in the text in Chapter 3, there's a little bit more discussion about that. Okay, and then we move into Chapter 4, where you continue to learn how to find laws using various sources. So there is just a very quick overview based on the overview document. Here are the resources. Please read Chapter 3. It's very, very specific to what we're doing. The difference between civil and criminal laws in the United States is a really interesting document. If you're unsure and you don't know about these things, it isn't terribly long, as you can see. It's maybe just a few minutes to read. It might be of great value. And then website, the Legal Information Institute. This is where I've been trying to suggest you at least try the Cornell University Law School's Legal Information Institute, because it's relatively simple to manipulate. You can see here where it talks about what the website is and what they do. We can move over here. You can learn how to get the law so that you can go to the Constitution, Supreme Court, U.S. Code, okay, or you can go to, or you can go to jurisdictions. Excuse me. Well, that's easy for me to do. So you can find it by state law. Okay, so if you're looking for a law in Iowa, and I know some of you are residents of Iowa, you can go here, go to state law, and look up laws in Iowa, all in one spot. You don't have to go other places. The legal encyclopedia that we've been talking about so much is listed here, and you can see that, yep, there's business law and constitutional law, criminal law. That's where we are. So you can go to criminal law, and it just starts an alphabetical listing of things you may want to look at. So here's abduction. So we might call it kidnapping. Well, remember I said you had to come up with that vocabulary list. Check it in your legal dictionary. So maybe you've been looking kidnapping all along. Maybe it's more common that it's called abduction, or vice versa, or you just flat didn't know. So down here's aggravated assault, aggravated battery, those kinds of things. So you can look those up and it will give you the information you need. You can also go over here to the upper right hand corner and search. And so I think what I've used in the past is homicide. Hope I spelled it right. There we go. Let's see what pops up for a homicide, and there's a difference between a homicide and a murder. So again, why is it important that you use that dictionary so that you know the difference? If you didn't do it or you aren't sure, gosh, here is the definition of homicide right there for us so that we don't need to go looking around. Homicide is when one human being causes the death of another. Not all homicide is murder, as some killings are manslaughter and some are lawful, so on and so forth. But you can hit on the link and then it will take you to murder and overview and tell you about it. So if you are looking at attempt murder, you can repeat this same process and it should help you out. Okay, let's see what else we have here. The discussion board. You should be able to work through that. And then there's this particular issue for the day. You're a police officer working in an area, and I'll walk you through this. The encouragement I would offer to you when you start looking at this case study for this week's assignment, but all the rest, don't read too much into it, and I'll walk you through that. What it is what it is, and that's all we're going to look at. Keep the cards and letters coming. I hope this has helped you as a little greeting, a little overview. Welcome to Module 3 for Justice 224 here at Southern New Hampshire.